Hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Julio Delgado, and I'm here today with Anne of Garment Library and Gio, as I call him, or Gabriel of Gabriel Bustos Santos. And this is going to be a quick interview. Well, maybe not that quick, depending on how intense it gets. But this is going to be an interview with Gabriel about his brand, and this is something that we're bringing to you in collaboration with Filipino Fashion Talk and Fitsfirst Philippines. So I think that covers all the bases of what this is going to be, what you guys might expect. You know. Um, so yeah, again, I'm Julio. You can just call me Julio. I'm mostly a freelance writer in the creative fields, with a bit of a fondness for fashion, and I guess that's why I'm here. And if you guys would like, please go ahead and introduce yourselves.
So, hi, my name is Anne, and I'm currently a business management student on the weekdays, and I'm learning fashion on weekends. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Santos, fashion designer.
Nice, very straight to the point. Okay. In that case, Anne, do you want to start asking questions already?
Sure. So just to give the general public a background about the brand, could you tell us a little bit more about Gabriel Bustos Santos?
Um, about about the brand, we're avant-garde, so predominantly black clothing, and then the practice always comes from my research and study from Filipino culture and tradition. For me, I think it's important that we talk about that and create collections from that narrative. We use natural fabrics, traditional textiles like piña and pusi, and then I mix it with other natural fabrics like cotton, wool, linen, silk, cashmere. Yeah,
We've heard that the brand is made out of the brand is run by two people. So how did you
yeah.
guys meet? And
It
do you
was
want
just
to
it's not.
mention who the other person is?
Well, I think it's mostly me. I just get help from my partner, Christina
Mhm.
Lopez. She helps out, but yeah, it's mostly me.
Ah, yes. Okay. And like, if I can sort of interject, you guys have a team. Like, is the team really just you and Christina? Sorry, I'm used to calling
Well,
her Tona.
I have workers with me, a pattern maker and a tailor. I'm the creative director, and then Donna just helps out sometimes. She's
Yeah,
busy with her
she
practice. She's a
with her own art, no?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So would you say that like Tona's involvement is more of like, is she just like a second pair of eyes to sort of help you figure out what it is exactly that you're doing? Like, does she offer input or does she give you direct suggestions?
yes. We help each other in both our fields. So when she has to like install an exhibit, I come
Hmm.
over and it's a partner like type of relationship. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you guys really sort of just you do your own things, and then when you do help each other out, it's always a back and forth. No, is that a good
yeah,
way to look at it?
yeah, it
Okay,
is.
cool.
Yeah. So
I
our references and influence they start mixing over time. So you know,
would you say
so
that she was a big influence on your taste?
well, a big part, yeah, definitely.
Oh, when did you guys meet, by the way?
It's, 5 years ago. So Benilde,
Mm.
yeah, we're Benilde students. So
5 years ago lang ba? I thought you guys. How long have you guys been together? If you don't mind me asking.
5 years, yeah, five and a half,
Oh,
I think.
okay. Yeah, I feel like you guys were already together when
When
I
I met,
first started
yeah,
dating.
yeah,
Yeah, when I first started dating my girlfriend, who also has the same name. I think you guys were
yeah,
already freshly together. Yeah, I think
yeah. I'd
that's
met
why I
you. You
thought
were
you guys were about. Actually, no, Gabriel. You have to remember, we met each other once, way before that, but we weren't super close. It was It was a long
Oh,
time ago. It's outside Root.
oh, okay, okay. You still had
I
long hair
remember
that.
that a little bit. Yeah, I did. Yeah, sorry about that. And that was just a side.
Oh
Also,
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Gabriel, I wanted to pick your brains on something. I remember hearing that you guys were working with Chao San Pedro. Tama ba?
No, Zhao used to work for me, and then she left. I think during the start of the pandemic.
Ah, okay, okay. I
So she,
understand.
And you guys met in Benilde
But
as well.
yeah, we she was a vinyl student as well.
okay, so that's how it started. Do you? Can I ask you a little bit more about working with Chao? Was the split like okay in the mind, or was it a little strange?
No, it was
Like
okay. It was
when she left.
it's like she wanted to start doing her own thing, and then so she left. We're supportive of her practice now. I mean,
Yeah.
she's
Okay.
did
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, but it's
Okay.
but
also
it
very
wasn't
Cool.
nothing
it's also
really.
very interesting how I feel like there's an intersection between both your aesthetic and his aesthetic.
Uh,
Like they're more on the deconstruction side.
yeah, I guess there'd be some intersections, but it's also different at the same time.
Yeah. I think you guys.
Yeah,
If I may, I feel like you guys maybe have similar approaches to material,
yeah,
like textile choice, but I
to
think the approaches are rather different.
exactly.
Yeah, Gabriel, we were kind of curious. Um, if you don't mind telling us, like, what were you like growing up?
Okay.
Um, like, how did growing up influence what you wanted to do in the future? Like now, I guess. And like, did you always want to start a brand, or did this happen later on?
It just not. I never expected to get into fashion. I graduated from a music degree in Benilde, so always wanted to be a musician. Um, and then eventually, that I lost the drive for that.
Hmm.
Then, well, I've been into fashion, but not so deeply into it while I was doing music. Just like I just like dressing up, and then I started discovering these designers, and then hey, that's nice, and then wanted to try it. So that's the starting point of me getting into fashion, and then I used to wear a lot of Rick and Yoji. So that was then now,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I recall when we first started seeing each other around, you were already very heavily into the Rick and Yoji stuff. That
yeah,
was, I
yeah.
think, when we first like very properly spoke. Yeah. But when we met before that, you were. Did you have? Am I correct? I felt like you had a sort of not super preppy, but kind of preppy, slightly minimalist thing.
I
Let me say,
early
man.
thought I was a preppy. I'm a preppy type. I
Yeah,
wear
but I
those
mean,
those.
So how were you
that's
able to discover brands like Yoji or Rick, um, knowing that you once had a preppy style?
Um, where was this? I think it was when Tumblr was still quite popular. Yeah,
yeah, when it was very big.
it was a big. It was a big. Oh, sorry about that.
So do you think that going to a school that's more liberal somewhat pushed you to become closer to becoming a fashion designer or closer to realizing what your dream is?
Uh, Not really. I don't think it was the school who influenced me to develop into who I am now. Again, it's always up to the person to decide for themselves. And well, in Benil, it's like where I've met some people and grew up with, and then they're still my friends still now. That's also a big part of me. You know, growing. Mm, I mean, that's where I met my girlfriend. That's where big part of my life, being a musician, and fashion came in later on. And I'm not. I don't exactly remember if I just decided to do this on a whim, or I wouldn't say it was a backup to music. But it's completely different, and yeah, I just feel like it's something that I could like express myself with in a tangible form.
Yeah,
So I
cool.
decided to study. It was a crash course in LCF, and then fashion business course. So I was there in London for a month, and yeah, you learned so much in the business side of fashion.
So for people out there who want to get into fashion, do you suggest them going to a fashion school or?
Technically, I didn't
Like, do you
go.
think it's necessary or
Nah, I don't. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, but you do have to, even if you're self-taught. I think it's important to even understand the basics, the
mm,
technical and the both the design process and the
the
definitely the
business aspect?
business. Yeah, which that was the most difficult thing for me, honestly. I mean, as someone who's always just been creating. The business was definitely the more uh difficult, not difficult, but challenging aspect.
I would also assume it's less fun.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, get
But
it.
you have to.
Yeah, you really. That makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense.
and sourcing. Well, for my brand now, it's a difficult part is like where to source materials, and
Yeah.
because I like working with natural fabric, so and quality is really important to me. So you know, I import some fabrics, especially like linens and wools and
Yeah.
cottons. I've tried looking for them here, but I was just never satisfied. I'm not saying that like, it's bad, but the important as long as long as I'm getting like my pinya and the traditional textiles here,
Yeah.
it's important that I have them made here.
Yeah. And I mean, if I can chime in, I think it's also because, like you're saying, you like the natural fabric.
Yeah,
Um, and a lot of the fabric that's available locally is usually synthetic blended, no?
yeah, with polyester and
Yeah, the
so
usual stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I wanna make sure when I get fabrics, I know exactly what it's made of. I mean, sometimes you buy fabrics here, they don't even know what the content. It's blend. I mean,
Yeah.
they may say it's 100% linen, but you do a you test it, do a burn test, and then it's like polyester in there.
Yeah.
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 Do you
That
think
makes sense.
there's like a benefit of using natural fabrics over synthetic ones?
Well, definitely.
And like, oh,
Even
sorry.
though sometimes like polyester was made to last longer, I think with the beauty of natural fabrics is like um, it ages. I love how they age. It's really
Yeah.
important concept of my brand and the clothes I make, which gives this timeless sensibility uh and I guess it'd be better off even to the wearer wearing something that's organic instead of wearing something that's synthetic. I mean, it could have like these minor reactions to your skin, and also the important of sustainability, where it really is important to use something organic and naturally produced. Yeah, it's a really big importance to using natural fabrics as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the way it breaks down is always gentler on the
Yeah.
environment, no? So
And since
It's
I'm
also
a
great that you pointed out on the sustainability aspect, especially with the materials you choose and the way you source them. I've noticed that with a lot of the garments, they're hand dyed using natural elements like the side leaves, right? So, is there a reason why you prefer dyeing things organically out of plants?
Well, definitely, it's the same answer to why I use natural fabric. It's
It comes
being
hand in hand, no?
it goes hand in hand. It's also the labor, like thing you enjoy. You at least it's something you have. I always want to be involved in the production process of the garment, where at least my hands were able to touch certain processes of that.
Yeah, so you work on the dyeing yourself, no?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah,
work on the dyeing alongside your team.
yeah, yeah. I
Cool.
mean, as a fashion brand, it's you definitely can't do it alone as much as you
Yeah.
want to.
I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts. I think it'd be really difficult to do everything by yourself. No?
Yeah.
If I might ask, huh? What do you think inspires like your clothing and the design process? Like, what are the things that you find end up going into the product? Like, is it stuff that you encounter? Um, are you looking at historical garments? Are you looking at things from other designers, or are you just maybe using concepts, as it were?
Um. Um. Well, definitely research is really important in my practice as a in design.
Yeah,
Uh, I do always look at historical garments, especially the ones that we used to wear in like Hispanic times and those the
mm-hmm.
old Filipino. And I think it was really I for me it's important to talk about the those forgotten silhouettes
Yeah,
uh, and recontextualize it in a, and contrast it with the more modern contemporary approaches.
yeah,
Well, definitely like you I want to stay genuine with my work. So these I'm just not making stuff that I definitely want to make something that's what I would wear every
mm-hmm.
day. And I also wanted to utilize our traditional fabrics in a I wouldn't say a different way. You know, I always see piña being used as a just a barong, and I wanted to elevate that in my own way.
Actually, I talked a little bit about the brand on the Discord server, and a lot of people were wondering, is there any particular reason why the prices for the garments are available on request instead of displaying them as other retailers might display them?
Okay. So so the question is like why am I only for at request at the moment right now?
Yeah. I think some people were curious why it's prices upon request.
Oh yeah. It's just I
Sorry, is that a
wanted.
strange question?
No, it's fine. It's great. Yeah, go. Well, I want things to be more in a personal level with
Yeah.
people who are interested in my work. And it's a small production, and I don't plan on getting as big as these other brands like Rick, Yoji. It was never my goal in the first place.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, I want things to be more personal with the people who are interested, and then I don't focus on the marketing aspect as well. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't see me paying for ads on Instagram or anything like that. I just want everything to be organic, and then that the right people come to you. I'm not here.
Yeah.
I'm not. You're not supposed. I'm not here to please everyone or shout that, hey, this is my brand. This is what I do.
I was just gonna say that you mentioned earlier that it wasn't your original goal to get as big as Rig or Com. So it just got me curious. What is your goal for the brand, and what do you wanna achieve by making clothes?
Well, honestly, I just started out also as like something I wanted to make clothes for myself and my friends. They were the early adopters of the brand. Definitely, like um, I'm here right now in Los Baños within Miguel Kilizan's place. Yeah, he's a visual artist. He's been
Yeah,
wearing.
I think I've met Miguel. He's
Yeah, yeah. So he's one of those.
this is the tall this is the tall guy, right?
Yeah, yeah, with the
Yeah,
tat.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. With the tattoos and the piercings. Yeah, Miguel's a real character. Miguel is like, oh, it's cool.
you
You're there for that. But yeah, he's a real collector. He has a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
his taste is impeccable. What's he up to nowadays?
Uh, he's doing art. Like he's doing a show with Donna.
Cool.
That when's this? 20 and 22. We have an opening in Informal. So
Oh, art and formal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The Green
And
Hills
like,
branch.
okay, cool. And I'm guessing viewings will be by appointment only.
I'm sorry.
Will there be? They'll be open for viewings now.
Yeah, I think it's like for openings, it's more of like an appointment basis when you with
Yeah,
that
there.
regard.
That's what I mean. Like you
Uh,
have to make an appointment to go for a viewing.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
cool. I might swing by if that's the case. And we'll
And,
probably ask you to plug stuff that you have going on at the end of the video. But at the end, na lang, if that's
yeah, I think right now I'm working with Miguel also on doing a project together for the brand. It's a
cool.
collaboration. Uh, it's just footwear, so just leave it to that.
Oh, you're actually making shoes.
Uh,
I mean
it's not.
footwear. So
It's
yeah, but footwear. So
a surprise.
cool. Okay, that should be interesting.
Okay, so let's go to the next question. In the Philippines, where the fashion scene is still growing and there's becoming more independent brands out there, how do you think a brand like yourself or any brand in general could break into the industry? And how do you think um, brands can turn fashion into a full-time pursuit?
Well, to be honest, I don't know how to break into this industry here locally. About right now, I'm just doing things in my own little corner. I don't plan to be. I wouldn't say not planning to be in the industry here. It's just I don't want to force myself to be a part of it. If you know, there's nothing wrong with creating your own, you
Space.
know, ecosystem. I'd say,
Yeah.
yeah. For other brands, uh, well, for me, it's just important to be as authentic as possible. So just keep your own integrity. If that's not who you are, then you don't have to do that. I can't say what you have to do, but I'm just focusing on doing things on my own way, at my own terms.
But I think a lot of people are curious. Um, I think it's kind of difficult to pursue fashion, especially when, for example, the clothes someone makes are kind of dedicated towards a certain niche, right?
Yeah,
So is there? Yeah,
it is
go on.
difficult, but I think it is difficult to do something like let's say, in as a brand being making clothes like that. I think you just have to take the dive. Take the leap. Take the risk. But it's easier said than done because not everyone has the privilege to be able to do something like this and keep continuing. So I'm lucky enough to get the support from you know family and friends, and so I understand that there's so much talent here in Philippines. It's just not everyone has the access to.
Yeah, to like
Uh,
resources, no?
it's important to always start small. You need something that's
Mm.
manageable. Don't try to like go all out, and then at the end of the day, you just can't take it. It's a learning process. You know, throughout.
And if I may, kind of like bouncing off of Anne's question, I think it's like a lot of people tend to feel like the avant-garde aesthetic is difficult to get into. Like there's a barrier to entry. Um, it can be a little intimidating to approach. It's pretty niche. Um, do you agree with these things? Like, how do you feel about that impression?
I well, honestly, it kind of felt that way for me as well before I got into the avant-garde, you know, aesthetics. And but to be honest, these people are one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. They're so
Yeah,
welcoming. It's they just want to be themselves, and that's really good and important. And then they're all nice. They treat you well. The clothes, the avant-garde is such a broad term now. Honestly,
yeah, it is.
you know,
There's,
it's
there's, it's a big umbrella.
it's a big umbrella. Yeah, it stems to different. Uh, 'Cause there could be like avant-garde, like the dark
Dark
aesthetics like
wear.
Andy Meester, Rick Owen, Yoji. That's avant-garde, but it's also avant-garde like these maximalist
Yeah,
designers, full of colors.
yeah, the ones who I'm not very familiar with, to be honest. Yeah,
Same. Yeah, it's not. It is. It might be intimidating at start, but once you get into it, it's what you've thought about it isn't all that.
yeah. I I also kind of feel like I feel like almost everything is intimidating at the start. Not to sound so scared of the world, but I mean like getting into anything at the beginning can be a little scary sometimes. So
That,
I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
In the Philippines, um, I could because in the Philippines, I haven't exactly seen a lot of brands out there who create avant-garde clothing. Well, there may be a few, but not a lot. So I'm curious to know, um, do you think that perhaps in the future more avant-garde local designers would emerge, knowing how this style is probably becoming more accepted with the internet and the spreading of information?
yeah, I hope there will be more in the future, and seeing now like there really are more people getting into the fashion scene here in Manila.
Mhm.
Not just Manila, just Philippines in general. Uh, Back in before when I was like in high school, not a lot of people were into it, and it's
Yeah, it was a rare
especially
thing then.
especially males.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was just I don't know, it just takes a lot. It shouldn't even take bravery to just get into fashion. It's, it's everyday wear. You need
yeah, it's a
clothes.
simple choice. Yeah,
Food, clothing, shelter. But for the industry, I honestly don't know how to answer. Like, how is it doing? Because I myself don't hang out with. I don't really associate myself with other fashion designers here, so I wouldn't know how everything's going. Just, but what I've noticed, there are a lot of more contemporary designers emerging. Well, not necessarily avant-garde, but there's always room for some everything.
yeah. It feels like things are getting more diverse at the very least.
Yeah, that's good. And it's as an avant-garde brand, definitely I knew I wouldn't like start selling off the bat here. I mean, I knew I wouldn't work well, in, but I again, it's still I felt like it was important for me to. start this and add a narrative to the scene.
Um, Going into what you're saying, so from your journey, it feels like you have a very individualistic approach to clothing and building your own brand. And from that approach, were there any challenges that you faced along the way?
Definitely, there are challenges. I'm still facing the same challenges now from way back. I mean, I think everything just it is difficult to maneuver through the pandemic, of course. That affected. I launched around it was in November of 2019, and then
Yeah,
quarantine hit March.
yeah,
So there's not a lot
2020.
of time to, you know, take the brand out there, and so it is challenging. But I just want to keep pushing, and I
Yeah,
believe
why
that
not?
it's it's a good contribution to fashion here in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see. And I was so happy to see that you guys were doing that. I remember the launch. That was the last time I saw you guys before the pandemic. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you were there in the. It was a party. It was
Yeah,
a
I dropped by. Yeah, it was a good time.
yeah, it was a
It
good.
was a good time. So like,
Were there any plans before quarantine that you were excited to pursue, but because of the pandemic, it was discontinued? Or
Well, definitely there were plans. I mean, everything got delayed for sure, but yeah, like when you try to contact stores abroad, they'd always ask like, "Where's your showroom in? Are you showrooming in Paris?" And those are does not this, that comes with a you know hefty price to
yeah,
showroom there. I mean, I understand like that's how buyers work, uh,
yeah.
but that definitely you know affected as a business. Can't fly, and then you know they're getting better now, but here it's
But we're not.
and it sucks. Yeah, I mean they're definitely frustrating,
Mm.
and even affects me, if it affects my employees, and affects you know everyone. Is and you know yeah.
See, but if I might ask you, does this mean that like you mentioned Paris, like showroom in Paris or something? Does that mean that these were steps you were ready to take? Like you were getting ready, or you were sort of planning to maybe have an international showroom or try to expand for like a more international reach before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pandemic hit?
definitely that was my goal in the first place to get
Yeah.
that international reach, get stock in specific stores.
Hmm.
You just get that distribution to bring your brand out there to
Yeah.
players. I knew sales wise, I knew it wouldn't be accepted here obediently. You get what I mean. Like,
Yeah. And coming off of that, like there's just something I wanted to ask you, like that occurred to me when you talked about international distribution. It's like I know a few other people who work locally on their own brands, and some of them are of the opinion that when you start, you should already be gearing yourself up for international distribution and international sales, and therefore also international pricing. Do you agree with that? Like, do you think it's good to position yourself as a brand that is readying itself for being sold abroad versus like just starting local? Because the big problem with something like that is always going to be if you start locally and then you sell abroad, to sell abroad for what you sell locally might not make sense. Does that make sense? Like, is that a fair concern?
that makes sense. I mean, uh, definitely if you wanna get to that international distribution, you really have to like. I think it's a really good starting point to already put that in mind as you start.
Mm.
Because like even if you have the in terms of pricing, like you can sell something internationally higher than you can sell here because when I started getting making clothes, now I
Mm.
understand why these designer brands are so expensive because
It's a
fabric
lot of
itself
work.
and shipping and yeah, especially avant-garde brands where their practice is usually in-house production,
Hmm.
so that it costs a lot of money to produce. So
Yeah.
as a business, they have to earn profit as well. So I get it. You can always sell. The hard part for brands who start locally, they always definitely want to cater to a Philippine price point. So they end up pricing it at this price, but when they get into international distribution, they can't sell it for a wholesale price because they're gonna lose, they're gonna lose income for profit for those loads. So you definitely have to like when you start, you always have to think like how much will this sell in retail and wholesale.
Yeah. The margins have to line up.
Yeah,
Because I mean, it's like you were saying that even though you are the creative director, you have a pattern cutter and tailor to take care of, right?
yeah,
So I think that it's important also that, well, if only because not everyone who will be watching this is aware of the fact that so much of what goes into paying for a garment is paying the people who make it. No,
yeah. Because without them, you wouldn't be. I wouldn't
there's
be
no
able.
there's no clothes. Yeah, you would be wearing
Yeah.
nothing. So yeah, okay, cool.
So it's like a they rely on me to do my best for them.
If I could ask, earlier in this talk, you mentioned about starting small first, right? And not diving headfirst into the industry. But do you find that you have to establish an audience here in the Philippines first before you can go international? Because establishing an audience here would probably be the closer step, right? The smaller, not really smaller, but like it's probably
The
the
easier one.
more logical step. I feel.
Yeah, definitely that would be more practical to start here, but uh, it's like a case to case basis. There are brands who don't do well on their domestic market but do well overseas. It really depends on brand, and I can't answer that for others. Like,
You're lucky. My friends are into.
yeah, I'm lucky enough. Like the people who I'm always with, my friends, and they're into the same things I like. How we dress, how yeah. So everyone around me is we have that same feel for things. Into the same, interested in the same things. Or if not, they you know they mix up and
Yeah, I'm actually just curious because for you mentioned that you're very lucky to have this amazing support system. But for other people who may not have the same support system or people who don't have friends who are into the same thing, what would your advice be for those people who want to kind of network?
honestly, like just get out there. Just it's so difficult to do things right now because definitely there's a pandemic. So there really is a disadvantage of people who do want to start now. There's also a disadvantage for me as a new brand as well. But I've noticed like you know meet people online, like the platforms like you guys are in, meet new people, and well, I believe in like attraction, so you'll attract those who will, you know,
Who are similar to you?
yeah, yeah. who are the same wavelengths. And that's what happened to us. I mean, when we started, when we were new to art scene, uh, we would always first time we visited an art gallery. It was, we met this artist, and then he was like an older artist, like 50 years old. So, and he just told us just keep going to openings, and then that's where you'll meet people, and that's, you know, who you want to community you want to be part of. That's what we just
But
did. Just
like
kept going to openings.
with with back before the pandemic started, people could go to these openings and meet others, right? In the case
Yeah.
of the pandemic, do you think there's an alternative to this in meeting people? Or, I mean, personally, how has it been going for you?
There definitely is a way. There definitely is an alternative, but again, that really is more difficult now. For in my case, to not that I'm not looking for people to meet. Uh, I've already met the people who I like. It's more of like
It's hard when people don't see the good.
and talking about and back to your work. It's important to just keep putting them out. You people will find you. You just keep putting your work out. I know it's a scary thing, but it is doable.
You don't have to follow the season.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to follow seasons. You don't have to follow trends. Just do you, and then over time, that will build, your community, your ecosystem.
Yeah, honestly, if you ask me that question, like if
It's
like
a difficult.
if you flip, yeah, I wouldn't have an answer. Um, I wouldn't have a clear answer. And I mean, I think it's interesting though, Gio, because like you and I,
It's kind of like
we're a fair bit
also part
older
of
than
the
Anne.
journey.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also Anne, like you do have to remember, we are a fair bit older than you, so we're more used to like the way we met people was always going to be face to face, first, and online second. But I think that with this whole new batch of people who are into fashion that I'm seeing, a lot of it is happening online. I think a prime example is the Discord. Do you think that see, because I mean, I have a brother who's also into clothing, but our tastes aren't exactly the same. Do you think that's just siblings trying to make sure they don't end up too similar, or is that just like,
no, it's just no. He just has his own thing, and I have my own. We were both into clothes. Yeah, we'd always talk about my siblings about fashion.
hmm,
Even my sister, who has a different style as well.
hmm,
We're not trying to compete. We're just like not interested in what they're interested in, and he's not
yeah,
interested in,
not in the same way, yeah,
in the same way. It's just what connects to you. That's where you go. Just,
yeah,
again, that integrity of being yourself is I put an importance to that, and I think everyone should as well.
yeah. See, but like coming off of that, I don't know if Anne asked this while I was gone, but like, do you have any advice for someone who's looking to get started on working in fashion here locally? Be it making a brand, starting a brand, whatever, or just getting into the world of fashion in the Philippines. Like, do you have any advice for someone like that, or
You don't have to do it alone. Definitely, there
yeah,
will always be people out there who are willing to support you, even strangers. I mean, like you and like people at your age group, and like they're I don't know how to do that. Like stay in a computer all day. I mean, wow, my eyes are.
You sound like a lolo.
I feel old.
it's it's okay, man. I can relate. Like,
I can't do that. I mean, it's amazing. I mean,
I
yeah,
think
this
it's
is
just part of our generation's upbringing. Like we kind of grew up around the internet, and that I think that's
with
also
screens already,
how a lot
yeah,
of us were exposed to fashion, like through the internet.
yeah, which is good because we didn't have that much access and information before.
yeah, back on yeah, like here we are sounding like old farts, man. No, but like no, it's just it's different. It's all um, it's something I'm still getting used to. This whole like switch to the internet, like and the screen time. Because I mean, my
Yeah.
work with the client writing and stuff is it's put me in front of the computer more than I'd want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it can get tiring, but at the same time, it's really interesting to watch like how younger people or the next generation, as if I'm so old, no, when I'm not that old, naman.
I mean,
Um,
say, yeah, it's just
I'm
even
on the
just
aren't you
computer.
younger than me? Aren't you younger than me, Gio? Like, how old are you again?
25.
Yeah, dude, you're so much younger than me. See, like you're not
How old are you?
28.
Oh,
Okay, I'm not
okay.
that much older,
You're
but
not old.
like it's nah, nah, nah. But I feel old. Like just seeing all these like young new faces who are so into clothes and know so much. Like
Yeah,
it's
I wish I
interesting.
knew that much when I was your age. When I was that young, at
Yeah,
19.
like I wish I was wearing Andem Yulmister when I was 17, man, but I wasn't. So like nah,
We didn't have the
So,
access.
yeah.
how did you get into like Rick and Yoji back then without the internet? Because for our generation, it's kind of difficult to imagine discovering these brands without the help of the internet.
Uh, well, we did. I mean, we're not ancient. I mean, we still had internet. It was
Yeah, like
just
there was the internet. It was just a little. We're not dinosaurs. It was just a little different, no, Gio.
yeah, it was like we were in Tumblr. That was what we were at. We
Yeah.
were in. Yeah, to see photos and like, hey, that looks nice. And then again back to like attraction. That y- you you feel that connection. You're like, I like that, and then sooner or later you read about like these designers and then their concepts and their ideologies, and it's just hey, that connects to me, and I believe in that, and that's how it all starts. It's and you just get into the world, and then uh, before when I was like 19, 20 years old, when I was into something like information wasn't, it, you'd have to like dig in deep to,
Yeah, you have to. You really have to dig. You'd have to
yeah.
go deep on like forums and stuff. And
And it's also your surroundings, friends and your environment. It will always have an influence to your work, no matter what. So that's why, back to being integrity, having that integrity to yourself. It will come out. It will when you put something out there. People will see that. Don't try to please everyone. Just please
just
yourself
please the
first.
people who count.
No, no, no. I mean, it's up to them if they'll be
Yeah,
interested
yeah.
in that. Like, there's room for everyone, and that's what you know. It's so competitive here. Mm,
See, with you saying that, this might be a bit of a box of worms, but like, because I do agree, it is pretty competitive here. But then I guess most industries are. How do you feel about the local industry?
Next question.
I knew it. I was like, that's the face of a no comment. I know where this is going. Uh,
There's a lot of you know, politics in that. Political.
I don't have
That,
this.
that's
Here,
a
it's a
that's
loaded question. This is a loaded question that I'm going to ask so that people can get mad at me instead of you. Um, do you think that people here, at least older, like our age and older, are a little bit too clicky? Like, is it too much of like circles that don't want to interact?
uh, hmm. There are circles.
Is that too loaded? I'm sorry. Like, I'm just
No, no, no. It's not. I mean, I'm willing to answer that. I mean, it's just dangerous field.
True though.
sorry. My bad.
It's okay.
True.
It's okay. But yeah, there are circle jerks everywhere, not just in fashion. in all communities.
Wow, straight to circle jerks. I didn't say circle jerks. I just meant like please, man. But okay, whatever you say.
People are gonna hate me after this.
No, no, it's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, but you can't blame them as well. You can't blame us if we. Sometimes it happens without that group of people meaning it. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
back to being like the intimidation. And, sometimes things just don't look as welcoming as they are perceived, right?
Yeah.
They're like the market.
But I mean, yeah, there are like two stories in that. There's the marketplace and there's the purely for the community type of
Yeah.
So the marketplace it's a different ball game. It's that's a lot to talk. That's something that's
Yeah.
for
To be
another.
honest, I think going into issues with like the marketplace now is not the time. That's what I think. But like I was just curious to get your take on like the community angle. I think that's more relevant. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't even know there was like these platforms now for.
You sound so old.
No, no, no. I mean, I'm not interested in like looking in the internet all the time. I
mm,
mean, when it's me, like I like going. I can't look at screens too long, but
mm,
yeah, I think it's important for like the Discord and to have these platforms where people can share and communicate and
yeah.
get to know people in the community. I mean, I'm I'm really like when it comes to like being in communities, like uh, I was in the skate community, and then these are people who are like really tight to each other.
Mm.
And it's just a good example to show what like that strong community, like this skate scene here in the Philippines.
Yeah, like the ways it can be good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, with regards to the Philippine fashion scene, is there anything you want to look forward to in the future, or like is there something you want to happen with regards to the future of the fashion industry here?
But one thing I've noticed, like everyone wants brands that are from the overseas market. There's
Mm.
not a lot of support for, especially emerging brands like young designers like myself. I mean, hopefully in the future there'll be more access and more opportunities. Like someone should like, for example, someone should like create a store. And, when this pandemic's over, even online, to have a creation of emerging brands mixed together. I mean, think like a Philippine version of Overstreet.
DSM.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's a
Got,
great. Everyone has the like every brand has and designer has creative control of how to install their garments. And putting all those contrasting elements together just creates like one really nice, atmosphere.
and if I could ask then, like, how do you feel about how easy it is to get the information now? I thought this question occurred to me like when we were talking about our old fogey nonsense, like how difficult it used to be to get information on the stuff that we like compared to how it is now. How do you feel about that change in like the dynamic of information?
Definitely information should be
Aside
free.
from being jealous, I mean, honestly, I'm jealous with how easy it is. It's like it's nice, and I wish it was that easy before. So like that's my main feeling. But like, what else do you feel if anything?
Yeah. Well, it's good that it's out there now. I mean,
Mhm.
knowledge should be free. Uh,
Yeah, ideally,
I do wish that I had that access before as well when I was a bit younger. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but the the progression is so fast.
hmm, it's wild.
And then like it reaches to some points where it's difficult to keep up,
Yeah,
but
You don't have to go to fashion school
Yeah, and
to be
yeah, I
clothes.
mean, all this information, tutorials on YouTube, you can learn things yourself, and then that you don't have to go to fashion school. You don't have to. You can create clothes by yourself. It's
It's actually really
good
great
for all of you.
how the internet has kind of provided a lot of information on different styles, different designers. But I feel like on the other hand, it's somewhat also kind of fostered consumption, which isn't necessarily, good for the environment. Especially when people come across like a new brand, new designers, they're like they wanna buy them and keep having more and more. So I guess that's also one of the more negative implications of the internet.
Yeah, I get
What's your
you.
brand?
Uh, well, that's more of a. It's up to the individual to do their own part, and
It's a market problem.
yeah, you know, it is a market problem. So, but it's up to the individual to limit their consumption. I mean, that's why, you know, my in my works, uh, slow production is important. Before I put out more clothes out there in the world, it's important to know that these will last for a life. Be a timeless garment that finding, and it's also important to find your it's important to find your style, to something you'd stick to all throughout. You don't have to consume so much clothes, which is so many out there in the world now. So
I think that's a big, or well, would you say that that's a big part of like your ethos as well? Like I feel like it reflects in the work, like as a sort of like slowness that comes hand in hand with the romance that I see sometimes, for lack of a better term. Um, is that intentional? And if it is intentional, was that a big part of how you started, or was that just something that you sort of fell into?
the limitation of production, or wait, sorry.
Yeah, I mean like the being a slow brand, because I mean like the what's the average lead time for a garment? Three weeks, is that right? 2 to 3?
Yeah, to yeah, it was intentional start. I didn't want to like be a mass producing brand.
Yeah,
I mean,
Like a
like I didn't want to be a factory. I don't want to put so
yeah,
much that will end up in landfills at the end of the day.
yeah. Like it's making only what is needed, no? Like I guess that's a
Yeah,
good way to
exactly. And
say
I
it.
think
Yeah,
that trend with sustainability shouldn't even be a trend in the first place. It should be practiced by
it should be
everyone.
the default.
Yeah, it should be a
Yeah,
default thing.
yeah,
I mean, easier said than done. I mean, it
for
does
sure.
cost
'Cause
more to try to do that than.
yeah, and you are right. It is a market problem. Like as consumers, I think there's only so much that we can do. Like
Yeah,
what we can do is different from like say the market or a corporation having to take certain steps. So that's two
yeah,
different things in a long
definitely,
conversation. So,
definitely that.
well, I think I'm pretty okay with the stuff that we've covered. Do you have any other questions, Sam?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I guess for my last question, I'm just curious. Do you have any advice for um, creatives in the Philippines in general, like not limited to fashion?
Okay. So expanding on the earlier question. Gets.
Definitely start. I always go back to being authentic. Be yourself. Be brave. The the creative industry needs that here in Philippines. There's so much. Here for creatives, I really recommend like looking deep into our own culture. There's so much resources and references here in the Philippines that aren't even utilized or you know, uh, portrayed about. Because there's, you know, in my practice, like I research about like art culture, and there's so much that you wouldn't know that you guys have the information. So starting out creatives, do that. Yeah, go outside. And what you look at as creatives, don't always stick to your own field. Like let's say I do fashion, don't just look in just fashion. Look outside. Look in art. Look in architecture. In politics. In just everywhere there's inspiration, and you always just find something that connects to you. And everyone has their own story to tell, and it's just you should be genuine and stick to that.
Cool.
Thank you so much for that response. It was very insightful.
All right. I think we're. Are we good? Are we done, Anne? Like, do you want
Yes.
to call that done?
Yes.
Sorry, you're choppy again.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
I'm good.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Gio. Like, thank you very
No
much
problem.
for
I mean,
Thank you so
helping everyone out.
much.
I
Thank
hope to see you
you.
in person again.
Yeah, me too, man. Whenever the world allows it, I would. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being at home.
Same.